welcome to another episode of Reese's Random Reviews. I am Reese, I'm about to give you a random review. Okay, so today's episode I'm going to be talking about the Hangover trilogy, and just to ask the question, should the film have even had sequels or even become a trilogy in the first place? The reason I ask this question is because you need to really think about this. From a serious side and from a filmmaking perspective and from analysing a film, you just have to think really clearly about should the films even had the sequels. Let me explain. The first Hangover film was, of course, a brilliant original comedy. It was different, it was nothing seen like it before, the dialogue was hilarious, the comedy was funny, everything about it was brilliant. You know, there was no doubt about it. And yes, as a fan, I do love the sequels. I think they're just as fun. Well, I think the first one's the funniest, but the sequels are funny. But from a serious side perspective, you have to think really carefully about should the sequels have even happened, because the second one was pretty much like the first film, but just set in Thailand. And despite the film grossing much more money than the first film, I mean, the reviews weren't great, and plus many people also said we've just pretty much seen the first film just set in Thailand. And even when I first saw The Hangover Part 2, I mean, I loved it because it was funny, but my mixed response was, it's just like watching the first film but in a different country. And then when the third film was released, there's no hangover, and it goes a completely different direction. It's kind of like the Taken trilogy. Two films are the same, third one goes a different direction. The third one is kind of like a spin-off than an actual sequel, because it just goes completely off the rails. And then it tries to make out that there was a storyline behind the whole thing, because, you know, Alan's character was the one who found the drugs because of Black Doug, and also Black Doug knew Marshall, who's played by John Goodman, and stuff like that. It just kind of made it out like there was some sort of secret mission going on. And to be honest, I just thought it doesn't really make much sense. It's just like, there wasn't really any twist or secret. This is just something that they had to throw in to make into a trilogy. Todd Phillips himself, who directed all three films, said that The Hangover was like his Star Wars. But seriously, for a Star Wars movie, this definitely didn't really hit the base as a massive film series motion. I mean, don't get me wrong, the films are great and they're funny, but they're just like sketches. Like, they're kind of like a TV series of what would happen if these guys got into adventures. But if they wanted that, they should have done a TV series. But to make big movies out of these, which is something completely different, you know, like you make a first great film, then you give the second, which is completely the same, just set in a different location, and then it's like, okay, the third one can go in a completely different direction. But not just that as well, it's like when you watch this film, the Hangover series, it's kind of like you know that the audience as well weren't very happy with the idea, because you had the first film, which was great, everyone loved. Second film started to get mixed, and then when the third one came, it didn't even gross as much money, nor did it have a great percentage on Rotten Tomatoes like the first two. But my question is to you guys, should The Hangover have even had these sequels, or do you think this was just a money-making thing? Or do you think that the sequels were just a waste of time, they shouldn't have been made, or do you think they should have been done and the storyline works? I'm just giving out my opinion, guys, as always, but I'd like to hear from you. Do you think the Hangover sequels needed to be released? Should they even existed? And even if they did, do you think they could have done something completely different? Maybe different hangover perspective? Maybe a different storyline but involving hangovers? Let me know what you guys think. Just don't forget to subscribe and comment, guys. And don't forget that more random reviews are coming. All you have to do is subscribe and just keep notified of what's going on. Thanks, guys. I'm Reese. I've just given you another random review.